All right, welcome back to Bet the Beach. This is the Huntington Beach Qualifier, AVP League Qualifier preview episode. We got brackets, ladies and gentlemen, so let's take a look at the brackets. We'll fill our bracket out as we sit here. We're a couple of days away from the first league qualifying event coming up this Saturday, April 12th on Huntington Beach. My name is Chris the Turk. Thank you for joining us again here today. A lot has happened since the last time we talked, so we have a couple of things to catch up on before we dive into these brackets. First up, the AVP over the course of the last week and a half announcing 3 additional entries into the 2025 league, all via wildcard. So the last time we talked, we had 2 teams on the women's side that had qualified based on top 4 finishes in 2024, and that was Jeannie Rango and Tony Rodriguez for the San Diego Smash. That was Haley Harward and Kylie DeBerg for the Dallas Dream. 2 teams in qualifying via performance from 2024. The AVP last week announcing additional 2 wild cards being handed out to people, to 2 teams that, if you look back at a Bet the Beach episode, maybe 6 weeks ago, I said they would qualify, and if they didn't, they would get a wild card. I think we called it there. TK and Taryn Brasher. See, I got it. I'm up to speed now. And Kristen Nuss getting the wild card. So they are in Saquarema, Brazil this weekend, as opposed to being on the beach in a single Elam tournament for the AVP League. They get to go to Brazil. They got a wild card. They're direct in. And the same could be said for the Canadians, the silver medalists in the 2024 Paris Olympics, Melissa Humana-Paradis and Brandy Wilkerson. They get the second wild card on the women's side. They are direct into the AVP League. So instead of going to California this weekend, they're headed down to Brazil. They're playing in Saquarema. Actually, as we're taping this right now, we have Mel and Brandy set spread favorites coming up here in about an hour. So we'll see how that one goes. So right now, 4 teams on the women's side are in, 4 spots left remaining. A couple of single Elam qualifier tournaments coming up, April 12th, April 26th, in the Huntington Beach Open. Winner of those 3 gets direct in, and then it'll be a points for the final, the 8th and final spot on the women's side. On the men's side, interestingly, AVP announcing in conjunction with the 2 women's wild cards that there would be no men's wild cards being given out. And then 4 days later, the AVP backtracking a little bit. I don't know if you will call it backtracking or what you want to call it, but if you look at that original post where they said they wouldn't hand out a men's wild card, that has since been edited. There's no mention of that in that post now. They are giving a wild card now, and they're giving one to the GOAT, Phil Dahlhauser, and his partner for the 2025 season, Trevor Crabb. On the heels, 2 days ago, Phil Dahlhauser announcing his retirement from the sport of beach volleyball. Now, stop me if you heard this one before. Phil has already technically retired from beach volleyball and since then won a bunch of AVPs. This time it sounds like he's going to be retiring not only from international, which he has been retired since 2021 after the Tokyo Olympics, but won't be playing in the AVP anymore following the 2025 season. I'll read you his Instagram post. I've decided that my 23rd season as a professional beach volleyball player will be my last. It's been a hell of a ride, but as they say, all good things must come to an end. I wanted to announce this in hopes to meet the fans that continue to support not only me, but our beautiful sport of beach volleyball. Thank you very much, and I'll see you out in the sand one last time. To which every single person who plays beach volleyball, watches beach volleyball, has liked and commented. 10,000 comments in 2 days. On Phil's retirement post, and congratulations to an absolute legend, one of, if not the greatest beach volleyball player of all time. We talked about it with the Manhattan Beach Open episodes we did back during the off-season show about a month and a half ago. Phil won Manhattan Beach Open away from tying the most of all time. That's Karch Karai. Phil's got 7. Karch has 8. You better believe that Phil and Trevor are gunning for an MBO come the second week in August. And an event that Bet the Beach is hopefully going to get out to. Stay tuned for a little more information on that. But we're going to try to make it out to the MBO this year. to see Phil one last ride at the Manhattan Beach Open, the granddaddy of them all. So congratulations to Phil announcing his retirement. It's going to be must-watch for the remainder of the 2025 season. I have said it a few times. I think Phil might have been a little disappointed with how the 2024 season ended. Him and Avery Drost not able to hold up their end of the bargain, playing with the Palm Beach Passion, Mel and Brandy, not winning many games last season in the league, not qualifying to be Final Four and in contention championship weekend. So Phil's a competitor. He's not the kind that's going to go out with a sour taste in his mouth. Goes into the offseason, chats with Trevor Crabb at the Newport Four-Man. They decide, let's make a run for it in 2025 domestically. Trevor and, I'm used to saying Trevor and Theo, so I got to change it now. Trevor and Phil getting the wild card. So not sure if the AVP's reversal in decision to not offer a wild card and then to change and then to offer a wild card to Phil. Don't have anything to do with his retirement, but certainly in retrospect, hindsight, as soon as you know that Phil's announcing his retirement at the end of the year, you give him a wild card anyways. So whether or not you weren't and then you were and he forced your hand, doesn't matter. The result's the same. You're not going to let a guy like Phil Dahlhauser in his last season of playing professional beach volleyball sit in the sidelines and not play in your second year of this new league that you're trying to create. So makes sense all around. TKN, Mel Brandy, Phil, Trevor getting the 3 wild cards. You want the best players playing in your league, so it all makes sense to me. Some people complaining I guess complaining is the right word. A lot of complainers on the internet these days, that it didn't make sense to give the wild cards out before the qualification. And I do understand the concept of that. Why not let them go out and qualify for it and then give the wild card to somebody else or don't give it out at all? I do get that. That said, some of the same people, when they announced the league was going to be 8 teams again, when they announced they were doing just a 16-team single-team qualifier, the complaint at that point was you're not allowing enough teams the ability to qualify for this league. Well, if you already are sitting there and you know that TK and the Mel Brandy are getting a wild card whether they qualify or not, why wait? By removing them from this pot of 16 teams, as I said on Instagram a couple of days ago, the 17th and 18th best women's teams who, for this qualifying tournament 2 weeks from now, Cecilia Agraz, Nikki Yardley, Megan Gebhard, Delaney Peranich, those teams were out of the mix entirely, no opportunity to qualify a week ago. You give the 2 wild cards, TK and Mel Brandy, 2 more teams have life. On the men's side, same could be said. Derek Bradford and Jordan Hoppy are the 16 seed. They would not have been able to qualify or make it into the 16-team tournament as constituted with those 2. They might have flipped up and picked a different partner had they known. If Trevor and Phil were in the mix, because they'd be sitting there probably at your number 1 seed overall, at least 1 or 2, probably 1, looking at what the seeds look like here. Logical decision. I mean, the result is correct. We got to the right decision, which is including TKN, Mel Brandy, Trevor, Phil into the second season of the league. Some questions about how it was done, but again, like I said, I think it makes sense because you've opened that pool up to as many teams as you possibly can. So I say all that to say this. Congratulations, Phil, on an absolutely amazing career. We'll all be watching all season long, but particularly all eyes are going to be at that Manhattan Beach Open. Phil trying to tie Karch for the most Manhattan Beach Open wins all time. And as far as men's side qualification goes, Trevor and Phil become your 4th team direct into the league. I mentioned on the women's side, we had the 2 bids from last year and the 2 wild cards, so 14 4 spots left. Same on the men's side, got there in a different way. 3 teams qualified based on last year's results. So that's Chase Buttinger and Miles Evans with the San Diego Smash, qualifying via being the top 4. They also won the whole thing. San Diego Smash returning in full with Jeannie Arango and Tony Rodriguez. Dallas Dream, Andy Benish, Miles Partain, they get an auto bid direct into the league. That's a team returning in full. So the Dallas Dream will be back as constituted exactly as we saw it last year. We think, I should say, we only know for certain, we do know a couple things. We know for certain the Smash is coming back exactly as constituted, all 4 players, the 2 men, the 2 women. We know for a fact, because the way that the AVP wrote the wild cards, that TKN are headed back to the Austin Aces and Mel and Brandy are headed back to the Palm Beach Passion. We don't know for certain that Andy Benish, Miles Partain, Haley Harward, Kylie DeBerg are headed back to the Dallas Dream. I'd be surprised if they didn't. For me, year-to-year consistency seems to make a lot of sense. Where they're doing in other spots, I would assume they would do it there. And Trevor, in a comment on Instagram earlier today, saying something to the effect of, we'll see it in Palm Beach May 23rd, 24th, after the wild card was announced. So that would lead me to believe that Trevor moves from the Mayhem to the Palm Beach Passion to pair up with Phil, and Phil and Mel and Brandy would be the Palm Beach Passion. So already a pretty stacked team there in Palm Beach, if that's the way it turns out. Taylor and Taylor are direct in, top 4 finish. We don't know for a fact the return to the New York Nitro, but as you guys know, I'm a Nitro guy, so I'm certainly hoping that's the case. So that combined with Trevor and Phil, Andy Miles, Chase and Miles, 4 teams in, 4 spots left to be determined. So as of yesterday, the brackets are up on AVP America. If you haven't seen them yet, head over to the Bet the Beach Instagram page. I have them there for you, both the men's and the women's qualifying brackets. As I said, this is a 16-team single elimination tournament, all in one day. So they got 4 courts going from the beach of Huntington Beach. We'll talk about streaming here at the end of the program. We don't have all the details on it yet. We got a couple. And we're going to be doing something kind of fun, I think, here coming up on Saturday, right here on the Bet the Beach YouTube channel, a little bit on Instagram Live as well. So stay tuned. We'll talk about that at the end of the program tonight. But what I wanted to do is I wanted to go through the brackets because I'm a bracket guy. I always have been. I'm a college basketball fan. My Houston Cougars lost narrowly to the Florida Gators. Congratulations to the Gators. 16-person pool, March Madness pool. I was in with some of my friends. Ended up with me needing Houston to win. My wife needed Florida to win. My wife got the win Monday night. So congratulations to her. $160 headed her way. Her first win of a March Madness pool. I've been doing it now for probably 32, 33 years. Still don't have a win yet. But I do love brackets. That might make me a nerd a little bit. I think that's probably very fair to say. I like the look of a bracket. I like holding the bracket in my hand. I like getting the pencil out. I like crunching some numbers. So that's what I did, and that's what we're going to do here today. I have not filled this out yet, and I haven't actually really worked through it yet. So what we're going to do here live on the program, I guess live, this recording this here on Wednesday, April 9th. You're probably listening to this on Thursday the 10th, Friday the 11th. But if you go to the Instagram of Bet the Beach, you'll see the brackets there. We'll start with the women. 16 teams. We'll start at the top left corner of your brackets. That's your 1-16 matchup. I've said it many times in March Madness. You used to be able to say the 16 seed never had a chance over the 1 seed. That changed a couple of years ago with a couple of 16-1 upsets. Now with the transfer portal, that looks to be a thing of the past again. We'll see if the college basketball can figure that out. From a volleyball perspective, professional volleyball perspective, do I see the possibility of a 16-1 upset? I think it could happen. I mean, I think famously Betsy Flint and Julia Scholes in the Manhattan Beach Open in 2020. Give me the number. 2024? 2023. Betsy and Julia were the 1 seed overall, lost in the first round, came all the way back to the losers bracket to win the NBO in 2023. So it has happened. I don't see it happen on the women's side here. Lexi Denneberg, Julia Scholes, who have a lot of power, a lot of firepower. They've performed a little below their expectations, I think, so far on the international stage in 2025 so far. 2 tournaments in, 2 qualifying first-round losses. So 2 tournaments played, 2 barbecues for Lexi and Julia. I expect them to figure that out. A couple of talented players. They're going up against Megan Gebhard and Delaney Peranic. I'm not exactly sure how you pronounce your last name, Delaney. I apologize if I got it wrong. But I'm picking a chalky start to the tournament. 10 a.m. Court 1. Lexi, Julia advancing there. Then we have the 8-9 matchup. Maureen Kenna and Chloe Laureen versus Carly Kahn and Devon Sowers. And if you've been following along with my previews of the 2025 season, who to watch for, you know how high I am on Carly Kahn and Devon Sowers. This is a team I like a lot. Carly Kahn, winner of an AVP Central Florida. That would have been back in 2022, maybe. AVP Central Florida, last tournament of the year. But Carly Kahn, Devon Sowers, a team that I'm pretty high on, so I got the 9 seed, beating the 8 seed there and moving on to face Lexi and Julia. But we're going to work our way down, go through the first round, then we'll work our way back to the quarterfinals and the semis. Zolani Hodel and Tegan Van Gunst pairing up against Kate Spieler and Tori Van Winden. I'll take chalk there. Zolani Hodel, young up-and-comer, a lot of firepower there. Tegan Van Gunst has performed pretty well on the on the international stage so far this season with her partner Kim Hildreth. Hildreth and Van Gunst been playing pretty well internationally. Sorry, had a little space moment there. But I like Hodel and Van Gunst to win there, the 5 over the 12, and they will advance to play the winner of Corrine Quiggle and Megan Rice, taking on Cecilia Agraz and Nikki Yardley. Quiggle Rice advancing there to take on Hodel and Van Gunst. So I got all chalk on the left side. I figure the 8-9 matchup, you can't call that an upset. Basically a pick 'em there. On the right side of your bracket, we'll start with the 2-15 matchup. That is the aforementioned Kim Hildreth and Kelly Kalinsky. Kelly Kalinsky announcing making one last run. The 2025 season will be her last on the AVP. Kelly Kalinsky got those freeze points. They give them that 2 seed overall, which is a great seed for them, taking on Rachel Kramer and Katie Lindstrom. Kim Hildreth, Kelly Kalinsky, I think they are the favorites there. They're going to move on to the quarterfinals. The 7-10 matchup, a good one. Devon Newberry, Jaden Whitmarsh have played very well on the international stage. Some good results there in Mexico in the first couple of events of the year, or at least that first challenge event for Devon Newberry, Jaden Whitmarsh, taking on Ramirez and Whalen. That's Jacinda Ramirez and Maria Whalen. I like Newberry Whitmarsh to move on there. And I think I like Newberry Whitmarsh to keep moving on, but we'll get there in a minute. Probably the story for me of the first round of the tournament is this next pairing. Sophie Bukovic and Deanna Kraft taking on Macy Jurger and Madison Shields. Sophie, if you're not familiar, plays for the Canadian Federation, played with Brandy for about a season or so before Brandy and Mel got back together. Sophie's been looking for a partner on the Canadian side, on the international side, played with Sarah Pavin for a couple of tournaments. Then two of them went their different ways. So I was surprised to see Sophie. First time I've seen her play in an AVP. Honestly, that's a good question, and a question that when I get the ear of an AVP employee, somebody, a decision maker, I'm going to ask the question, what exactly are the rules as far as international players playing on the AVP? We've seen some do it. Those players that do it, to my knowledge, are dual citizens. So like Brandy and Mel. Brandy is a triple citizen, I believe. Mel's a dual citizen, Canada and the United States. Same with somebody like Alisson or Alvaro Filio on the men's side. We saw it with the Mastroiannis on the women's side for a couple of years there. So, and Tina Gradina, another example there of an international player who plays domestically. So I wasn't aware that Sophie fit into that category. I'm not sure that she does or she does not, but I'm interested in that because that's something I think as this league grows and develops, it'll be a really interesting thing to keep an eye on. And I say that because the AVP has, for the most part, in its history, been a domestic team product. There have been examples in the past. I think in 2019, there was an international tournament in Hawaii that was sponsored by the AVP, so it has happened before. But traditionally, it's been something that they have restricted to U.S. citizens playing on the AVP league. The players that play on the AVP would love to keep it that way because from a competitive level, you start introducing international players, the lure for players to come and play on the AVP and try to qualify would be great. Because as much as for all of the challenges that the AVP has faced over the years and the struggles and the ups and downs and the bankruptcies and all that, when you listen to international players talk about the AVP, they talk about it with great reverence and great respect because it's a domestic product that promotes their players, gives their players a platform. And not all countries and federations have that. The French have a tour. There's a German Beach Pro Tour. There's a Brazilian Beach Pro Tour. There's plenty of them out there. And surprisingly, when you hear people talk about it, they still give a lot of respect to what the AVP is able to do. If the AVP wanted to improve the quality of its product, they could very easily open those floodgates and allow international players to play. The players would be pissed. The owners would get a higher quality product on the sand, which I think when you're trying to grow a league might be something they'd be interested in. So I'm sure the players are listening to me right now saying, shut the hell up. We don't want this. Absolutely no way. I get that. That said, as a fan, as a viewer, wouldn't I love to see Sharif and Ahmed fly in for Manhattan Beach Open? Would I love to see Sharif and Ahmed qualify for the AVP League this year? Yeah, I absolutely would do it. The league would be a big ask because it's a 4-week commitment, but in a one-off tournament, maybe. So I'll be interested to see where that goes. But I bring all that up because Sophie Bukovic, the Canadian, is on the entry list for this qualifier, which means that she has an opportunity to qualify for the league, playing with Deanna Kraft. She was one of the few bigs that I had on my list that I did not have a confirmed partner for. I think that partnership's going to be great. Deanna Kraft will be your blocker. Sophie will be your defender, but Sophie can split block as needed when you're playing a team that maybe options a little more than another. Sophie and Deanna is going to be an awesome pairing to watch, and I think that is going to be the story of the tournament. On the women's side, 11 a.m. court number 2. You better believe we're going to be all eyes on Sophie and Deanna in their first matchup against Jurger and Shields. I like Sophie and Deanna to advance there. Savvy Simo, Abby Van Winkle take on Amy Ozzie and Hannah Rooks. I like Savvy and Abby there. We'll go back to the quarterfinals. It's now a matchup between Lexi and Julia, Carly Kahn and Devon Sowers. That's a good matchup, and I don't think that is necessarily a win for Lexi and Julia. I think it depends on what Lexi and Julia we see in that first round, because as I've said, they have struggled in the first couple tournaments this year. Sometimes you put two partners together that look like they're a good match, two good players, and you just don't get the 1 + 1 = 2, or sometimes the 1 + 1 = 3. That could be the case here. Way, way, way too early to say. But when you have a Carly Kahn and Devon Sowers that have been playing together for a while, they'll have the advantage of better partnership, better teamwork, been playing together for longer. Am I going to do it? Am I going to do a big upset already? No. Nope. Not going to do it. Almost did it. Gut instinct says Lexi Dennerberg, Julia Scholes advance. Carly Kahn, Devon Sowers do not advance there. But I will say that'll be probably your best quarterfinal match. You got a bunch of good ones here. 1 p.m. court number 1, the first quarterfinal on the women's side. Lexi Julia, I think, beat Carly Kahn, Devon Sowers and advanced to the semifinals. Bottom left corner of your bracket, we got the 5 seed versus the 4 seed. That's Hodel and Van Gunst versus Quiggle and Rice. Give me Hodel and Van Gunst there to advance to take on Lexi and Julia on the left side of your bracket. Right side of your bracket, you got Hildreth Klinsky advancing the 2 seed to take on Newbury Whitmarsh. I will get my first big upset on the women's side there. I think that Jaden Whitmarsh, Devin Newbury, the 7 seed, upset Kim Hildreth, Kelly Klinsky, the 7 seed, moving on to the semifinal on court number 2 at 3 p.m. They will take on the winner, Sophie Deanna versus Sav and Ab. And that's an awesome matchup. The 6 seed versus the 3 seed. Savvy and Abby playing together now for almost 2 years. Is that fair to say? 1.5 years at this point. Sophie and Deanna, a new partnership. So we don't know what we're going to expect out of them. I think we'll go with experience there. We'll take Sav and Abby, the 3 seed, to beat Deanna and Sophie Bukovic. But I think that'll be an awesome matchup. So 1 o'clock, court number 3. We're going to have our eyes on that one. 1 o'clock is going to be a fun time on the women's side. They're almost all great matchups there in the quarterfinals. But I like Sav and Ab to advance there. So we'll go back to the right side. You got your 1 seed, Lexi Julia. You got your 5 seed, Hodel Van Gunst. Give me Lexi and Julia to advance to the finals there. And then on the right side, Devin Newbury, Jaden Whitmarsh, taking on Savvy Simo and Abby Van Winkle. Sav and Ab have the experience. I've been playing longer, but not together longer. Newbury Whitmarsh have been playing together longer, but haven't played as much at this level. Give me another upset there. let's go with the upset there. Let's go Newbury-Whitmarsh to upset the 3 seed, Savvy-Simo, Abby Van Winkle, and advance to the finals to take on Lexi Denneberg and Julia Scholes. Ooh, man, that's a tough matchup. 5 p.m., Saturday afternoon. That's Pacific time, so it'll be 8 o'clock here on the East Coast. Main court, court number 1. Lexi Julia versus Savvy-Simo, Abby Van Winkle. No, sorry. Devin Newbury, Jaden Whitmarsh in the 7 seed. 7 seed versus the 1 seed in the finals on the women's side. Boy, if it's anything like college basketball was this year, you got to go chalk, right? Lexi Julia. But I like that team in Newbury-Whitmarsh. I've liked them since the first time I saw them a year and a half ago in the qualifiers. Was it the Manhattan Beach Open a couple years ago? Boy, Lexi and Julia are good, though. Let's go chalk there. I do think Newbury-Whitmarsh could put together enough of a fight here to make it close, and I do think that they have a good opportunity here to qualify over the course of the next 3 tournaments. But all that said, I think Lexi and Julia, it's going to be a get-right tournament for them. They're going to win 1, 2, 3 in a row, 4 in a row, and they will earn themselves a spot in the AVP League. I think Lexi Denneberg and Julia Scholes, your number 1 overall seed. Easy, right? Chalky pick, I would say. It's not going to be an easy path for them. I don't think it'll be easy. Going to be a couple of tough matchups there. They are on the right side of the bracket, for sure, as you expect the 1 seed to be. But they do have a really tough matchup there in the finals with Newbury-Whitmarsh. But I'm going to go with Lexi Denneberg, Julia Scholes to win the Huntington Beach Women's Qualifier on April 12th and move on and advance and take a spot in the AVP League. Let's take a look at the men's side now. Running in tandem in the same facility, 1 day, 16 teams, same setup. Came Shock, James Shaw, your number 1 seed overall. They're playing on court number 1. First matchup of the day, 8 a.m., Huntington Beach. It's 11 a.m. here on the East Coast. And I got to tell you, where on the women's side, I thought a lot of those first-round matchups were pretty chalky and pretty easy to pick. Cayman James got no favors here with their first-round matchup. They're taking on Derek Bradford and Jordan Hoppy. Hoppy played with Shaw last season before Cayman picked him up. Derek Bradford has had some pretty good success on the international stage, and from everything you hear, he's the next up as far as young bigs go. Domestically here in America. I don't think Bradford and Hoppy can get it done against Cayman James, but it wouldn't surprise me. It wouldn't shock me. If I had a good set spread underdog there, if I could get Bradford and Hoppy plus 1.5, that's a good reminder too. All sets are to 15, so they're going 15, 15, 15 like they do in the league. If I could get Bradford and Hoppy at set spread dogs plus 1.5 sets, I would take it if it was even remotely good money. Even at like minus 125, I'd still take Bradford and Hoppy to pull a set off Came Shock and James Shaw. Shock and Shaw coming off of the biggest USA upset on the international stage in as long as I've been watching beach volleyball, beating the Swedes, Aman and Helvig, the defending gold medalists, last weekend in Playa del Carmen in the Elite 24. Huge upset over Sweden. Cayman James ended up taking a bronze medal, I believe. Either a bronze medal or a 4th in that Elite 24. Great result. One of the best results we've seen. At least dating back to Miles Partain and Andy Benish. And I think their expectations were higher, I think, at the time, or at least ours were of them than they were for Cayman James. James playing great right now. Came Shock, been a reliable defender domestically here for a bunch of years. So Cayman James, I do think, win the match, but they got no favors, and that could be a bloodbath, that first-round match. And if it is, and Bradford and Hoppy can put a scare into Cayman James, it could change the day for Cayman James. So very, very tough first-round matchup for the 1 seed and the 16 seed. Like I said, give me Bradford and Hoppy to take a set there. Plus 1.5, that's what I want them at. I don't think they're going to win the whole thing. I wouldn't take a money line. I would take Cayman James money line there, but it wouldn't be worth it as far as what the odds would be there, I don't think. The winner of that takes on your 8-9 matchup. Hagen Smith, Logan Weber versus Alisson and Alvaro Filio. Alisson, Filio back together again. The two Brazilians playing together. Alisson played with Evan Corey last year, both in the AVP, and Corey going to the Brazilian tour to play with him there. So Alisson picking up Filio. They pull a 9 seed against Hagen Smith and Logan Webber. That is a really, really challenging first-round matchup for Smith and Webber. I'm surprised that Smith and Webber are all the way down at an 8 seed as far as points go. I kind of would have expected them to be a little bit higher than that. So they get a tough draw there as well. That's a really tough matchup to pick. Toss-up. I mean, it's an 8-9 matchup, right? I think either one probably loses to Cam and James in the next round. So let's go with Alisson and Alvaro Filio there. I like them over Smith and Webber to get the upset there, advance to the quarterfinals. Your 5-12 matchups, Triborn and Evan Corey versus DJ Klasnick and Bill Klinsky. I like Tri and Evan there, the 5 seed over the 12 seed. Your 4-13 matchups, Cody Caldwell and Ryan Wilcox. It'll be our first look at that pairing, those two of them playing together domestically, while Cody plays with Trevor a little bit on the international stage, although they basically forfeit their first qualifying matchup in that challenge event a couple weeks ago. And they're playing the 13 seed Gage Basie and Caleb Queckel. Gimme Caldwell and Wilcox there. Although Basie Queckel have been very good domestically over the last few years. I like Cody and Wilcox to advance, survive, and advance to the quarterfinals. We go to the right side of your bracket. It is Theo Brunner and Troy Field. Our first look at them as a partnership versus David Lee and Celia Tucker. Give me Brunner Field there. I've got all chalk so far. I hate that. Avery Drost, Wyatt Harrison, the 7 seed, taking on Tim Brewster and Ryan Ierna. There we go. Let's take a 7-10. There's always a 7-10 upset. Let's take it right there. Let's get Timmy Brewster and Ryan Ierna to advance over Avery and Wyatt. Your 7-10 matchup. Then you got Sean Cook and his new partner, Brian Miller, taking on Lev Prima and Jake Uritia. Jake Uritia, a Bet the Beach follower from day one almost, so we're always going to root for Jake. Sean Cook, a Bet the Beach follower from basically day 2, so we're always going to root for Sean. So that's a tough matchup here to pick for Bet the Beach. I love both those guys, but I think Sean Cook and Brian Miller have a little bit too much there for Lev and Jake. Sorry, guys. I think Cook Miller advance in your 6-11 matchup. Your 3-14 matchup is Tim Baumgren and Paul Lottman versus Peter Connole and Steven Roschitz. I don't know if it's Cannoli or Cannole. I apologize, Peter. Either way, I'm not picking you to advance. Baumgren, Lottman advance there. We move back. Cam Schock and James Shaw versus Alisson and Alvaro. I don't hate an upset there. Could the Brazilians do it? Could the Brazilians put a scare into the rest of the bracket and upset Cam Schock and James Shaw? I almost don't hate picking it. Alisson's been so good. He has not lost a step yet. James Shaw is just so dominant at the net right now. Cam Schock picks up everything. Let's stick with Chuck there. Cam Schock and James Shaw advance. Bottom left of your bracket, Triborn and Evan Corey advancing to take on Cody Caldwell and Ryan Wilcox. Interesting matchup here. Triborn picks up Ryan Wilcox midway through the 2024 season, plays a couple tournaments with him, wins a contender-level event in AVP Virginia. Then Tri in the offseason moves on, picks up Evan Corey. As I said when it happened, an understandable move for Tri. He basically picked up a youngster with just more experience in Evan Corey, a guy that's really ready and primed to make a run at LA 2028. So Tri playing a partner that he picked up and then dropped in over the course of 6 months or so. If we get this matchup, 12 p.m. on court number 2, Cody Caldwell versus Triborn at the net. This is a tough one to pick. I'll go with Bourne and Corey to advance to take on Cam and James, which has fun implications of its own on the left side. But we'll get there in a minute. Theo Brunner, Troy Field, taking on Tim Brewster, Ryan Ierna. Give me Brunner and Field there. They advance to the semifinals. Sean Cook and Brian Miller versus Baumgren and Lottman. Baumgren and Lottman, I think they just might have too much there for Sean and Brian Miller. Baumgren, Lottman advancing to the semifinals. Back to the left side, Cam and James versus Triborn and Evan Corey. That is going to be a must-watch matchup. Triborn picking up Cam Schock for the 2024 Olympic push. They were not able to qualify. They broke up at the conclusion of that. and you're really expecting Tri Bourne to be the better of the two players to have the more success, and Kane picks up James Shaw and almost immediately has more success than Tri has had since the breakup. Love both those guys. Should be an awesome match, I think. Shaw right now, a more athletic blocker, a taller blocker. I think Evan Corey is the better defender than Cam Shaw. So give me Tri Bourne and Evan Corey, the 5 seed, to upset the 1 seed. So we get the 5 seed in the finals, upsetting Cam Shaw and James Shaw, but an awesome match that'll be. 2 p.m. Court 1. It's a must-watch there. To take on the winner of Theo Brunner and Troy Field versus Baumgart and Lottman. That's an easy pick for me. That's Theo and Troy. So Theo and Troy are in the finals. Tri and Evan are in the finals. So it's your 5 seed versus your 2 seed. We got to pick one of the two. I want to pick them both. Give me Bourne and Corey. Give me Bourne and Corey, two guys that just narrowly missed out on making the AVP League in 2024. Don't underestimate the motivation of a team that really expected and wanted to be in the league. Both guys very narrowly missing out on the 2024, the first iteration of the AVP League last season, and I know that really, really bothered both those guys. Both those guys are going to be motivated, maybe more so than anybody in this field. Tri Bourne and Evan Corey. Get the big upset. The 5 seed takes it. 4 p.m. Court number 1 beats Theo Brunner and Troy Field. Tri and Corey take the spot in the AVP League on April 12th, Huntington Beach Open, Huntington Beach Men's Qualifier number 1. So we have Tri and Evan on the men's side, and we have Lexi and Julia, the 1 seed on the women's side. Those are our picks to win it all. Huntington Beach Qualifier on Saturday. So that'll do it for us for now. We're also kind of watching along the Sakurima Elite 16. One thing I did want to mention, if you're just a YouTube follower, if you're just a podcast listener, and you do like to gamble a little bit, you should follow along with us either on Twitter or on Instagram. In the Playa del Carmen Elite 24 2 weeks ago, 8 for 8 on our bets, culminating with a huge Cuba money line victory in the semifinals of that Elite 24. We are 0 for 1 so far in Sakurima. Got another one just about to tip off right now. We got Melon Brandy, I think, set spread favorites at -1.5. So if you do like to gamble a little bit, it is called Bet the Beach. I don't do a ton of gambling talk here on the podcast or on the YouTube show, but I do a lot of it either on Instagram stories or on Twitter, posting my picks before they happen. So you can follow along, either fade or follow, whatever you want to do. Right now, I'd suggest following, but you know how gambling goes. You're up, you're down. It's never as good as it seems. What's the quote there from? I can get this. This is a quote from the movie Blow, one of my favorites. Sometimes you flush, sometimes you bust, and when you're up, it's never as good as it seems, and when you're down, you'll always get up again. That's a good gambling quote, because you can't get too high when you win, and you can't get too low when you lose, and you got to gamble within your own means to keep it fun. So if you do like the gambling stuff, I'll be posting my picks all weekend for the Sakurima Elite 16. A lot of great matchups there. Pool play kicking off about 5-6 hours ago after the qualifiers this morning. Pool play will continue through the day tomorrow, and then we'll get into the weird round of 18 and the round of 12, and the whole format of the tournament is kind of wonky. Switching to 24 teams in the elites made it very confusing, and if you want an explanation on how it works or why it works like that, go check out Sandcast. Travis Merwitter did a good job kind of explaining why it's like that. That said, I do want to make a comment about tournament format, because it does apply to what we're going to see here on Saturday. The benefit of a 16-team single elimination is that it's a very understandable bracket. It's clear. It's crystal clear. It's great for us to watch along. We got a bracket. A team wins. They move. The team loses. You're out. You lose. You're done. You lose. You're done. You win. You advance. So single elimination is awesome. It's awesome for content. We're going to be following along closely all day on Saturday. More on that in a moment. The downside to a single elimination tournament is it leaves the opportunity for potentially not the best team to win, in theory. And that's been a conversation actually that's happened with March Madness going on here over the last month, in that the transfer portal has created a situation where if a team that would have been a Cinderella, like a George Mason a few years ago, been a bunch of Cinderellas in the history. Davidson with Steph Curry, Cinderella. A player that would create a Cinderella after a good, successful season goes in the transfer portal, moves to Duke, and Duke becomes a powerhouse. A lot less upsets this year in March Madness than we've seen in previous years. It's because of the transfer portal. I think it very clearly is. So either the NCAA institutes some better guardrails on how the transfer portal works, or you can expect a lot chalkier March Madness. So I say all that to say this, as it relates to volleyball. Single elimination tournament gives you an opportunity for a potential team that you may never heard of or you've heard less of to potentially qualify to be one of those 8 spots for the league. And I think that's what makes it so fascinating, and I think what people love to see is they love to see a Cinderella story. You know, if, for example, Devin Newbury and Jaden Whitmarsh, the 7 seed, can make a run here. I have them going all the way to the finals and losing in the finals. If they can make it all the way and they can win, that's a 7 seed as points-wise goes, and they make it all the way and they qualify for the league. I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing. You know, you want your best teams out there, but giving a bunch of teams an opportunity, you know, if you're one of the 16 best teams in the country right now, or I guess 20 best teams with four wild cards and auto bids already in there, if you're the 20th best team in the country, you can make it top 8 here. All you got to do is win 4 matches in a day. So I think that makes it very cool. I think that's a really fun thing about single elimination as it compares to an Elite 24 in Sakurima, where there's going to be pool play, modified pool play, a round of 18. You could lose and still advance, or you can make it to the round of 12, lose and still advance to the quarterfinals. Give me single elimination. I think it's a lot cleaner, and it's going to make for a very fun Saturday. That said, the AVP has confirmed at least this about the options. I'm seeing a lot of posts on Instagram, a lot of posts on TikTok. Streaming, question mark? Where's it streaming? Where's the AVP streaming this? Are we going to be able to watch this? They have confirmed at a minimum that they will be streaming on YouTube. What we don't know is if they're streaming all 4 courts, if they're streaming 2 courts, if they're streaming 1 court. We don't know if there's going to be commentary. We don't know any of that. The AVP hasn't announced it yet. We have to assume that they're at least giving us 1 court with commentary, but even if they don't give us commentary, we have to assume that they're going to give us at least 1 court. So, what I want you to do, if you're a beach volleyball fan and you don't live near Huntington Beach and you can't get out there, on Saturday, starting at 8 a.m. Pacific, 11 a.m. Eastern, or if you're in the middle of the country, do the math, +1, +2, whatever it is. Go over to YouTube, find Bet the Beach's YouTube channel. I will be there, right here from the Bet the Beach studio, streaming. I'm going to have Court 1 here up on the screen. I'll be watching Court 1. If they give us Court 2, Court 3, and Court 4, I'll be watching all 4 courts. I'm going to have me here. I'm going to have the scores here on the left side right here. Be nice. Look good. I'll have the brackets over here. We'll bring the brackets up at the end of each round. So I will be your Scott Hansen of NFL Red Zone. I will be your Ernie Johnson of Inside the NBA on TNT. I will be your Rebecca Lowe of Premier League Mornings if English football is your thing. So I'm going to be your studio host, and I'm just going to continually update you on scores. If they don't give us a feed for courts 2 and 4 and you can't watch them and you want to follow along with the scores and you want to know, hey, what's that second round looking like? I got a Saturday. I just want to know some volleyball. Come to me. Put me in your phone, put the Court 1 on your screen. Flip it around. Put the Court 1 on your screen, put me on your phone. However you want to handle it, do 2 screens. Get 3 screens going. You can do that these days. I will be here for 9 to 10 hours straight here in this chair, updating you constantly on what's going on in the qualifiers. So I'll be updating the scores as they go. I'll be updating the brackets at the end of each round. Hey, this is what happened in the first round. These are what the next matchups are going to look like in a couple hours. Coming up here on court number 2, Ken and Laureen are taking on Cannon Sowers. That should be starting here in about 5 minutes, as soon as I have an update there. The other thing that goes along with that, if you are a player, I saw Jeannie Rango posted earlier asking if people were interested in some side content from the beach there in Huntington. She's not playing, but she's going to be going. Whatever I can get from Instagram that people would like me to share, I'm going to be sharing it with you. So whether it's clips, whether it's somebody's Instagram live that we can pop up on the screen for a little while so you can see a couple clips or see a set or 2 from a second round matchup between Sophie and Deanna and Savvy and Abby, I'll get that up on the screen. So if you want to contribute to that and you're a player or if you're a fan and if you want some promotion for your Instagram live or your Instagram page or your YouTube page, reach out to me, shoot me a DM, let me know. I'll be here in the studio, and I'll have that ready to pop it up on the screen whenever you go live, and I'll be able to kind of reroute your content, and we can simulcast, and we can get you all the credit you want. So this is going to be ESPN Red Zone for beach volleyball, single elimination, 10 hours of volleyball content right here from the Bet the Beach studios. I am very excited to do it. What I'm also going to do is I'm going to have a second screen there so we can go on Instagram Live every once in a while, kind of update you via Instagram Live as well. So we'll be on YouTube here. We'll be on Instagram Live here. In and out there. We'll be YouTube Live the entire day. The entire day we'll be right here updating scores, updating the brackets, telling you what games are coming up next, giving you the storylines. Say there's a spectacular finish in the 116 matchup between Lexi and Julia and Megan Gephardt and Delaney Peranich. I'll get you the clip from that. I'll get you the final point if I can get the content for you. So if you're going to be out there and you want some publicity for your Instagram, all that stuff, DM me. We'll link up, and I'll get that stuff posted on YouTube. If you're a fan and you just want to consume content and you want to know what's going on here and you can't get out there to Huntington, and for some reason maybe AVP doesn't stream Courts 2 through Courts 4, the most up-to-date information you're going to get on what the scores are in those matchups is right here on the Bet the Beach YouTube channel and on Instagram as well. So I'm very excited for Saturday. I think it's going to be fun. Think ESPN Red Zone for AVP Beach Volleyball. I am the Scott Hansen for beach volleyball come Saturday, 8 a.m. Pacific, 11 a.m. Eastern. We'll be taking you throughout the day, getting you all the updates. I'm very excited for it. I hope you join. You'll be able to call into the show. So say you're really surprised by a result. Or that's another thing, too. Thank you for mentioning it, Chris. Good job. So if you're out there and you're watching one of the games and you say, wow, I just saw, let me think of an example here. Let me pull up the men's bracket because the men have a tendency to be a little spicier sometimes. Let's say that Bourne Corey Caldwell Wilcox quarterfinal that I'm predicting gets a little feisty, and we see some words, some chirping through the net. And you're sitting there on the sidelines and you're watching it, and you want to give me a call and let me know what happened. You can be my correspondent for Bet the Beach Live for our coverage of this quarterfinals. 978-254-1707. I'll have the number. I'll post it. It'll be on Instagram. It'll be all over the place. It'll be on the screen right down here. You can call in and you can give me an update. Hey, I just saw Tri Bourne get into it with Ryan Wilcox. Never going to happen. Two guys are friends. Just an example. But if something like that happens and you want to call in, do it. If you're sitting at your home in Florida and you're watching along and you say, hey, man, I think Chris kind of got this pick wrong. This is why. You want to give me a call? Get you in there. You can't call into Scott Hansen on NFL Red Zone. You can call in to Bet the Beach Live on Saturday as we watch along all four courts and all 8 hours of beach volleyball. So you can give me a call. You can hop in. You can DM me. I'm just going to be updating you throughout the day. It's going to be a lot of fun. I'm looking forward to it. So I will be your Scott Hansen of NFL Red Zone for beach volleyball right here all day Saturday, taking your calls, updating you on scores, updating your brackets, preview on the next round of games as we take you all the way up from the round of 16 all the way up to the finals, 4 p.m. and 5 p.m. From Huntington Beach. So that'll do it for me here tonight. I appreciate you as always. We will see you next on Saturday morning, 8 a.m. Pacific, 11 a.m. Eastern. The YouTube's already out there. I'll post that again for you, so the link's already out there. It is our Huntington Beach Qualifier watch-along here from the Bet the Beach studios. It should be a lot of fun. So I'll see you again on Saturday. Until then, have a good night and have a pleasant tomorrow. Bye.
Wake up, sunshine, let's go play. Beach volleyball is the way. Sand in my toes, sky so blue. Fun in the sun, just me and you. Bounce on the beach, set the ball high. Smiles all around and we reach for the sky. Surfs up and laughter's in the breeze. Join the podcast if you please. Having in, watch us fly. Under the sun we feel so high. Spike and surf, hear the cheer. Every day is summer here. Wake up, sunshine, let's go play. Beach volleyball is the way. Sand in my toes, sky so blue. Fun in the sun, just me and you. Bounce on the beach, set the ball high. Smiles all around and we reach for the sky. Surfs up and laughter's in the breeze. Join the podcast if you please. Dive and dig, watch us fly. Under the sun we feel so high. Spike and surf, hear the cheer. Every day is summer here. Dive and dig, watch us fly. Under the sun we feel so high. Spike and surf, hear the cheer. Every day is summer here.